Hey guys, it's Steve. Today we're going to be talking about how to read the map on World of Tanks console. My first tip is to get rid of this compass map. This is the default map that the game automatically starts you with. As you can see, you get a lot of detail up close, but you can only see about a grid and a half away. So how you get rid of this is in the options you turn on toggle minimap, and then on the PS4 you hold down the D-pad, and on Xbox I think you hold down the back button. There are good players that use this map and prefer it, so I recommend trying out both. The people that use this map bring up the score sheet and look at the bigger map a lot. I think it's just distracting. As you can see, when I toggle over to the other map, you can get a much better view of the battlefield. So now, yeah, if you bring up that map, you can see what's going on in the whole battlefield as opposed to just what's going around. So that's my first tip. I highly recommend switching that up for you. It should improve your gameplay. Alright, so here we're going to just go over the basics of the map, how to read it. You can see there's two circles on the map. There's one that's really tight around you. It's a little hard to see right now because everyone's jumping up at the beginning. And then there's a larger one, which in this particular instance ranges out about 3 squares. So the one that's close to you is the range that you'll be proximity spotted, which I'll give you an example of in a minute here. But basically, if you're not spotted, but then a tank on the enemy team moves within that inner circle, then you will spot them and they will spot you. So that's important to keep in mind, especially in close range engagements. The one that's more important to keep an eye on is the outer circle, the dotted dash circle there. That's the range that tanks on the enemy team, actually the tank on the enemy team with the best view range, can spot you at. So typically it's going to be one of their light tanks. Not all the time, but usually it is. So in this particular instance, I'm going to assume it's the Bad Chat 12T on their team. That line there is where they can spot you at. So keep in mind, like a heavy tank with poor view range, that line, they'll have to actually be closer into you than that line to spot you. Another thing to keep in mind on the map, you see that white straight solid line that's just going from northeast to southwest on the map. That's where your turret's pointing. It's not massively important, but it does help you read the map, so that's what that is if you don't know. And then the cone, that shaded blue cone, that's what your spotting range is. So in this instance, you can see I'm in my Bad Chat. My spotting range is better than the enemy's distance that they can spot me at. So what that means is I probably have better view range skills on my crew than their best tank does on their crew. So in this instance, you can see I can actually outspot the enemy team by about a full grid. And I'll show you an example of that here in a little bit. But those are the main things to keep in mind. Alright, so here we're just going to take another look at a different map. This one, I'm in my ISM, which is a Soviet heavy tank. So here you can see the proximity circle a little bit easier. It's that tight circle around my tank, and we'll go over an example of proximity spotting here in just a second. Now you can see, because my view range is not as strong in this tank as it was in the Bad Chat, the cone that I can spot the enemy team at is actually inside of the range that I can be spotted at on the other team. So looking at their team, it's probably their LTTB that has the best view range in their team. So that's what that outer circle is delineating right there. So now I got to be careful because I can actually be spotted without being able to spot the other team. So these are very important things to keep in mind. Not a lot of people really understand how to do them, which is why I'm making this movie. So Alright, so here we're going to be taking a look at the opening play with the light tank. So what I want you to keep in mind here is my view range, which is the shaded cone, and the enemy's best tank's view range, which is that dotted line. So these two measurements are very important for light tanks, and I would argue just as important for medium tanks. But here what I'm trying to do is get a tank in my spotting range but stay outside of theirs so they can't see me. So I'm going to come across Tiger 131 here, and you'll see that I spot them, which means he's on my team's map, but I'm not on his team's map because he cannot spot me. So if you master this, you can really dominate the vision game. So right there, he can't see me, I can see him. So that's a perfect example right there. So now we're going to take a quick look at proximity spotting. So the thing you want to look at the map here is the tight circle around my tank. Anything within that, you'll proximity spot. So there's a heavy tank directly in front of me. Nobody on my team can visually see him, but because I move him into the circle, now he's spotted on my team's map, and I'm actually spotted on his team's map because I'm in his proximity circle. So that's important to keep in mind for close range engagements. Alright, so that covers how to read a map in World of Tanks console. Hopefully you found that video helpful. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'll check them out and try and answer your questions as soon as I can. I'll probably be doing some more of these tutorial style videos in the future here, so if you do like it, be sure to click that like button. And if you're new to the channel, you got a lot of World of Tank content coming up, so feel free to subscribe if you're into that. Alright, peace out.